Tonight we have not one guest, but two. And it's going to be an amazing ride this evening. A hell of a ride, actually, I guess you could say. Our guest this evening is going to be Preston Dennett and Dolly Safran. Now, they have a book out. Well, Preston has a book out. It is called Symmetry, a True UFO Adventure. And it is about Dolly's adventures. UFO adventures, I guess you could say. True life UFO adventures. Now, I know Preston needs no introduction because he's been around the field. Everybody knows him. But we're going to go ahead and do that. Preston Dennett began investigating UFOs and the paranormal way back in 1986 when he discovered that his family, his friends, and his co-workers were having dramatic, unexplained encounters. And since then, he has interviewed hundreds of witnesses, which, by the way, tonight, like I said, he's bringing on one of those this evening, and he has investigated a wide variety of paranormal phenomena. He is a field investigator for MUFON, a ghost hunter, a paranormal researcher, and the author of 29 books and more than 100 articles on UFOs and the paranormal. He has appeared on multiple radio shows and television programs, including Midnight in the Desert with my dear late friend Art Bell. He's appeared on Coast to Coast AM, also the History Channel's Deep Sea UFOs and UFO Hunters. He has presented, his research has been presented in the LA Times and the LA Daily News, the Dallas Morning News, and other newspapers. He has taught classes on various paranormal subjects and lectures across the United States. He currently resides in Southern California, and I'll allow him to discuss his website. Now, Dolly Safran. Dolly has worked as a limo driver, assistant manager at Wendy's, a zookeeper, a bus driver, a security guard, which I have also been before, a nurse, and more, including as a civilian worker for the U.S. Department of the Treasury, and also in the Army as an employee for the U.S. Department of Defense. Her UFO contacts began around the age of 1, and they're still happening today. And without any further ado, let's bring them online with us. Preston, Dolly, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Nice to be here.
It's great to have you both here with us. Now, Preston, before we do begin, I wonder if you would do something for me.
All right.
All right. I did not mention this to you at all, but there is a huge fan of yours right now listening, and I was wondering if you would say hello to Critter. That is his nickname, Critter.
Yeah. Hi, Critter. How you doing? Thanks for listening. I appreciate your support. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you've got huge fans out there, and he might very well be one of your largest ones, actually. Anytime I mention you, he just gives me the heart emojis. I'm just telling you, it's amazing. But tonight, now, what is your website, Preston?
It's actually my name. The actual address is I won't do the W's, PrestonDennett.weebly.com.
Yes, I just want to make sure you got that out there. Now, I've got your book in front of me. It's actually on my Kindle. And I presume that inside of this UFO, there's an alien, and I presume this is you, Dolly.
Yeah, you could call me that. I'm a hybrid. Yes.
Okay. I mean, there is a woman in there.
Yes,
yes.
I'm the woman, and there's an AI in there with me. Yes.
Okay. Yes. And what the picture reminded me of, what this image reminded me of, was it was a show I used to watch as a kid, The Great Space Coaster. That's what I was thinking of immediately. The Great Space Coaster.
Wow.
Is that something that you felt like you've been on, Dolly? The Great Space Coaster?
Yeah. That's a good analogy. Yes.
Yes.
Pretty much.
Now, Preston, I know in your book, you said you've never experienced any witnesses like this before, like Dolly. What was it that really drew you in? Because I know you've interviewed hundreds, perhaps even thousands of witnesses. So it's going to take something really, really dramatic, really different to make you say that, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I took me a little bit to recognize just how extensive Dolly's case is, because she was a little bit hesitant at first to open up. But as we began talking and corresponding and emailing and so forth, it became increasingly clear to me just how amazing her story was. And after doing hundreds of hours of interviews, literally, I can say with complete confidence that her story is the single most extensive UFO contact case I've ever researched. And I have to tell you, probably even read about. And I've never talked to anyone who's had such complete recall of their encounters or had such incredible adventures. I mean, lifelong. She's a fully conscious contactee. That's really rare. A lot of people do have missing time, as you may know, amnesia, a lot of fear surrounding their experiences. Dolly, however, does not need hypnosis to recover her memories. She experiences this in real time, as some do. I mean, most contactees do have conscious memories, but Dolly she's a bit different than pretty much anyone I've talked to.
Yes. Now, I've mentioned it before on this show. I was also abducted as a child. I don't remember much of it at all. It's almost like looking into a broken mirror. You see bits and pieces. But what made mine interesting is that my brother was with me when this happened because we shared the same bedroom, and he filled in a lot of the missing pieces. As we began to talk, it was as though, I thought this was a dream. But it wasn't. So Dolly, when this first began for you, as early as the age of 1, actually, did this seem like a dream at first?
Yes, sometimes it did. I was actually 10 months old, and that memory is vivid. It was traumatic for me, and I remember it in real time. Actually, it's a memory I've carried through my entire life. Because I saw a light in my window, and I started levitating in my own crib. And by the time I got up to the top rail, I panicked and I flipped over trying to go back down, and it left a mark on me. It really did. I quit sleeping normally in the crib after that. I put my legs through the bars to hold on, and they got pictures of me doing it. And so that's my first absolute conscious memory that ends at the point that I started going down. But I've had off again, on again memories of being contacted and seeing craft and little ETs and a tall gray, and I knew things about it. I just, I was told I was dreaming. I was told I had paranormal activities going on around me all the time too. I'm psychic, I'm telekinetic. I can levitate. And I can do all kinds of weird things. I'm very psychic. And I drove my poor mother crazy. And she didn't want anything to do with it. It, put her on edge. And so she just, no talking. So I spent until I was about 14 trying really hard to assimilate what was happening to me. And for a while, I thought I was nuts. I was really worried about it, actually. And the reason I woke up was it was just dogged determination not to let it go. When I was 14, it was either I was nuts or I was going to prove something to myself, and I did.
Yes. You mentioned that you had paranormal experiences, that kind of stuff. I wonder, for both of you, because I myself have had all sorts of paranormal experiences. And as I said, I was abducted as a child. And then I have seen all sorts of other things in my life. I've had encounters of, I guess you could say, of a spiritual nature. I wonder if there's a relationship between being abducted by whatever these beings are and having wide experiences of paranormal phenomena.
Absolutely.
There is.
Yes. Preston can talk as well as I can on this. I'm going to say a few things and I'll let him finish it off because he's the researcher. He knows this stuff above and beyond what I've experienced. ET's main message to me was to wake up. to tell, their message to everybody is to wake up, start using your innate abilities. You have a natural ability to be psychic, to see energy, to do things with that ability. And if you're a contactee, which sounds like you are, if you were contacted when you were that young, that means they singled you out. And you don't know this, but you might still be one now. It might be that you haven't woke up yet. You might want to pursue thinking through that one. So, yeah. Husband's talk. Yeah. Go ahead.
I mean, I'll underline that. It's funny because I myself came into this field as a skeptic, not really believing in anything paranormal. Even though at age 9, I did have a really profound sort of precognition experience. And after my mom passed away, I saw her spirit, and I started researching UFOs, found they were real, and started having out-of-body experiences and close-up sightings. So the paranormal was hitting me hard. And as I started interviewing people, it became very clear to me that there is a connection there, because I started to leave my questions more open-ended and found out that, as a rule, contactees do have a wide variety of paranormal experiences, up and down, across the board. And it was funny because when I interviewed Dolly, and she started telling me about her UFO experiences, I started shifting to expand, what was going on with her. And I asked her, have you had out-of-body experiences? And she's like, oh, yeah. I'm like, have you seen ghosts? She's like, oh, gosh, yes. I'm like, here's a wild one. Have you ever had a levitation experience? She laughed. She's like, yes, I have. And it didn't surprise me because, yeah, this is definitely something that I think ETs are absolutely drawn towards, and conversely, really want to wake up in people. These are natural human talents: telepathy, precognition, healing. All of this is something that they really are trying to wake up in people. They're drawn to it, and they ignite it as well.
Yes. Now, that brings to my mind a question. Why would they be trying to awaken these things in us unless they could possibly be us, but from the future? Thoughts?
No, not from the future.
Not
real
from
time.
Real time. They are us right here and now.
They are our progenitors. That's how they are us. They are our parents. We're placed here, and we were given a chance to evolve and grow and gain wisdom and use our abilities and catch up with them. They are highly, highly, highly advanced civilizations of peoples, and they are psychic to a T. And that's how they communicate with one another and run their technologies through psychic ability. And we were given a chance to catch up with them, or at least knock on the door and say, hey, they were waiting for us to bring our morals up, to bring our empathy up, to bring our spirituality up, all of that. And that's what that's about. And it is in real time. They exist as we do simultaneously. They're in our universe. They're in our dimension, and they know us.
Yeah, that was one of the theories that I seriously entertained for a while, because I'm trying to figure out, who are these guys? Mm-hmm. It's pretty clear to me off the bat that they're probably extraterrestrial. It's the theory which, by far accounts for most of the evidence. But they can apparently time travel, pull people out of the time stream, do all kinds of crazy stuff with time. So at some point I dug deep and began really sifting for cases, looking for ones that would speak towards, are they us from the future? And I have to say there are a few cases, a tiny handful, which you could march out and some way support that. But I didn't find them particularly credible. The vast majority do not speak towards that. I don't think they're vague interdimensional beings or a phenomena that wears different masks and is masquerading as ETs. So that's another very popular theory. I don't think they're demonic. I looked into that very deeply because a lot of people were telling me this. I don't think so. I think if you look at the evidence in its totality, from the landing trace cases to the radar returns to the photographs to implant removal cases, crash retrieval reports, it's pretty clear we're dealing with extraterrestrials, people like us. And as I began to realize, wow, we even have accounts of human-looking ETs. The grays do not look that different from us. They're all humanoid. It became pretty clear that we are in some way related to them.
Interesting. if we are related to them, the Greys specifically, what makes us different from them? Because obviously we have hair, we have mouths, we have what I'm not exactly sure what the Greys have, what they don't have, but there's a difference. And some abductees have claimed they have been genetically modified. What's the purpose of being genetically modified?
Okay, let's begin at the beginning of that question. How are we different from them? How are we the same? We all have DNA. We come from the same human genetic genome, almost identical, as a matter of fact. We actually can interbreed with them back and forth. The reason they have no hair is they're spacefaring, and they're constantly in their mode of travel around electromagnetic radiation and electricity. Electricity is like electrolysis on women who want to lose their hair. They've been electrolysis pretty much for thousands of years, and they just don't grow hair anymore. Their DNA changed just not to grow it because it's a hazard to them. And I know this because I pilot craft and I've been zapped more than I can tell you. I now have no body hair. I have very little head hair, and I'm probably going to be bald before I die. Okay, so the next thing is they do have mouths, they do have teeth, they do eat. They will not smile in front of a human because their teeth are many and sharp as hell, and they
Wow.
don't want to scare humanity. They are meat-eating race. They're herbivores as well, but they mostly eat meat. They wouldn't be eating us because the meat they eat is different from ours. They have hands, they have feet, they have toes, they have fingers, they have genitalia, they eat, they go to the bathroom, they're male and female. They are exactly like us. They just shape differently. It's their ethnicity that makes them different. On Earth, I'll give you an example. We all are different colors. We all have different attributes, and we all dined out a different way genetically because of our environment. They look the way they do because of their environment. They've taken a lot of heavy gamma radiation, and it has altered them somewhat, and they work with that.
Yep, this is what many contactees have been told. I've learned all of this well before I met Dolly. Dolly was really able to fill in a lot of the blanks for me, connect the dots. But many contactees have been told this, that the Greys in particular have suffered genetic damage due to radiation. I've heard variations of this from over and over again. And this is one of the, I think, reasons behind the agenda of collecting genetic material. Because they're trying to basically revitalize their own genetics, and which is very similar to ours. Apparently, all beings in this universe do have genetics like we do.
Yes. Now, one of the theories that had been put out there for a while, I'm sure you've heard about this as well, Preston, is that the extraterrestrial beings, especially the Greys, I guess you could say, that one of the reasons they were abducting human beings and doing experiments on us was to try and reintroduce some sort of lost genetics, lost material into their race. Because somewhere along the way, they lost something. And that is why they are having children or whatever it is with us, with humans. They are trying to reintroduce some genetics into their race.
That's what we just talked about.
Yeah.
They can breed and forth back with us, and they're bolstering their own genetic structure.
But what has been lost?
To a more normal state.
Do we know?
It's the loss of their DNA being derazed by gamma radiation. Okay, let me give you an example.
Their ability to reproduce was one of the main things.
Yeah, which is a human complication right now as well. Humans are losing that ability as we speak. You know that gamma radiation affects your DNA.
Yes.
NASA proved this with the astronauts. They had twins. They sent one up to space for a year, brought him back, and they found out that his DNA absolutely was damaged. And they've been watching him repair himself ever since. He's not 100% yet. If you do that over and over and over and over again for centuries, you're going to deraz pretty bad. So yes, they're rebreeding back in with us to bolster themselves. They do not experiment on us, by the way. There's no such thing. you're not abducted, you're contacted, and you're brought on board because for the last 80 years, our magnetosphere has gone down and we are being hit hard by gamma radiation. That's why the raise in cancer, the raise in mental disorders, the raise in autoimmune disorders, why all kinds of things. Their list is long, and they're literally trying to hold us up right now. And that is why they do what they do. It is not, you're not being abducted, you're not being tortured, you're not being any of that. I want Preston to talk to this because he's researched it and he knows.
Yeah, I mean, one of their primary agendas, seriously, is healing. And I noticed that very early on when I talked to a contactee who was healed of a cyst. I thought, wow, this is amazing. And I knew of a few other healing cases, but people weren't really talking about it. But I dug deep. I ended up writing a book. That was my first book. I've since reissued it. I've collected some 300 documented cases. I have to tell you, Bob, pretty much every major researcher out there has these cases. Bud Hopkins, John Mack, David Jacobs, Edith Fiore, Yvonne Smith, Barbara Lamb. I mean, I could continue. This is a big part of the ET agenda. This is what they're doing when they pull people on board and are giving them a checkup. It's not an experiment. It's more often than not a healing procedure. It's just that people have such intense fear that it's difficult for them to figure out what's going on. When you're terrified, you automatically assume this is bad for you, when it isn't. And they will tell you this. They say, do not be afraid. We won't hurt you. That is the single phrase they almost always tell people when they come and visit them.
Interesting. Now, my mind is going to, I've heard of some cases of people, I guess, being contacted and going aboard these ships, and they would come back with radiation burns or cancerous tumors. What could be causing this? If they are here to heal people at the same time, would they be possibly causing these individuals to have illnesses at this as well? I mean,
I'd like to speak to this actually, because there are cases like this, and I would point to the Falcon Lake case. Stephen Michalik, who approached a landed UFO and it took off, and he was badly burned and ended up having what amounted to radiation sickness. And he had, nausea, vomiting, burns on his body, his blood lymphocyte level dropped. He got too close to a landed UFO. Not a good idea. There's another very famous case, the Cash Landrum case. Betty Cash, Holy Landrum, who drove up under a UFO, which was surrounded by helicopters. Pretty sure that this was a government reverse engineering project, and they got too close. I started looking at all these, injury cases, and that's the category that they often fell under. It was people who came too close to a landed UFO. And yeah, some people do have, scoop marks and bruises and things like this. But I couldn't find any number of injuries. The most common category would be eye irritation and light sensitivity.
Okay.
And that is quite common.
I would also like to add something here. I'm a nurse, and I know for a fact that as a nurse, and you come into a hospital and I'm treating you for something, and you don't know what I'm doing to you, I have to take some time to explain it. But if your life is at risk, I end up doing it whether you like it or not. A lot of people, even children, even adults, are terrified of medical people and what's about to happen to them. And not all medical procedures are pretty. You get a needle in your vein, it's going to leave a bruise. You're going to get a blood pressure cuff on your arm, it might leave a bruise. You're going to get stitches. You're going to get all kinds of things for all kinds of reasons, and it causes panic and fear. There are people who even refuse treatment. Now stick that on board a UFO with a ET who's trying to help you, and see what kind of memory you're going to have of that.
Oh yes, I totally agree. I totally agree. Now, I'm the type of person, I hate dentists. I'm not going to a doctor unless I'm dying, really. But if I have a problem with my teeth, I'm going to pull those suckers myself. That's the type of person I am. I'm not going to a dentist. Uh,
Understood.
my dad, now this is off topic, but my dad had taught me that if I have a tooth problem, what you do, now this is for everybody that wants to pull their own teeth. Take a fishing line, tie it around your tooth, tie the other end to a door, and slam that sucker.
Yeah, my dad used to pull mine. I trusted him, and he was very quick. Yeah.
Dolly, with your experiences with these aliens, how many alien races have you actually come across?
I've never sat and actually counted them. I'm going to give you the ones that I've seen the most. Okay, I've seen Anunnaki. They're very tall, very big built individuals, and they actually have wings.
Mm.
I've seen what you would call a tall white or a Nordic. They're very long-lived, and they're very stern scientific types. They do a lot of scientific research in our solar system and wherever they go. They live for a very long time. There are short grays that are about troll size, like if you were a midget, it would be about that size, between 2 feet and 3 feet tall. And they have a blue cast to their skin. They are probably responsible for developing the AI grays, the workers of all ETs, for everybody. They're all the way through the universe, and they're important because they do the work of all the alien, the ET races, so that they don't have to spend so much time out in deep space. They've learned hard lessons over the eons, and that is stay on a planet with a magnetosphere. It protects you mostly from the radiation coming in at you. If you're out in deep space, you're going to take it full on. No stopping it at that point. So they do a lot of work out in space itself. Then they're what I call the mid-size ET race. They have 3 fingers, very long hands, and they are very, very, very intelligent. I mean, they're gifted in ways that I can't even begin to enumerate. Okay, they take psychic to the next level. Then there are tall grays who are much like them, only they're about 6 feet and taller. I'm associated with a tall gray, and her name, I call her Mama, and she's 6'2", and she's over 800 years old.
Wow.
I've seen grays that look, ET that look like Ra. They're kind of bird-like. They're feathered. They have clawed hands and feet, and they can't wear shoes. They wear sandals. They're beautiful and elegant, and they are winged. They absolutely winged. And I've never got to speak with one, but I've seen them. I've also seen ET that look like Horus. They're dogs, and very, very tall, very well built. Interesting folk. They guard their people voraciously. The 2 that I saw on board a craft were guarding somebody, and I didn't get to speak to them, but I sure did look. There are those that look like cats, and I did try to have a conversation with this being, and it kind of smiled at me, and I wanted to touch her so bad. It was a female, and she walked up to her, and she just gave me that look, and she put it in my head, that's close enough. And I was like, okay. And I saw her. I've seen mantids. I saw a mantid one time in my life. I had a kidney transplant in 2016, and I was recuperating right after my surgery, and it was very blustery. I was on a farm, and the door was open. I could hear it gailing through the screen door, and I'm looking out across the way into a wood line, and I see something crouching behind a stump, and I'm thinking, what is that? And this is back when we still only had Motorola's flip tops. And I went up to the door, and I flipped it open. I turned on the stupid camera, and I'm trying to take pictures of it, and it stood up. And I was like, oh crap, 8 feet, better than 8 feet. Oh my God. And I was like, and I dropped everything. I opened the door as fast as I could, and I ran down the stairs and started booking it for it, because I was like, let's have a conversation. And it was, nope, it turned and it started walking away. I had just come out of surgery, so I couldn't keep up with it at all. I tried, but it left me a mental image, and it called itself a watcher. It said, we are the watchers, and we watch over you.
Wow.
Yeah,
So that
heard
was
that
my
before.
one.
Yeah.
That I had put that, I filed that one away, and I've never seen one since. I would love to again have a conversation. I've seen, and this might blow you up a little bit.
Okay.
There is a world out there where they are water people,
Water people.
and yeah, they're not like dolphins at all, but they kind of sort of are, and they don't look like mermaids at all, but they're they're warm-blooded, they have babies and everything, and they're mostly water beings, and they're very, very cool, and they're smarter than anything. Okay, I've seen them, and it's in the system of Delphi, out in the universe, out in our galaxy.
If you could, if you could describe what these water beings would look like, well, what would they be most like that we have here on this planet? Anything?
It's hard to say.
It would be.
They have 2 legs, they have 2 arms, but they're shorter, and the arms, their hands are webbed, and their feet are definitely webbed. They have slippery feet, and their skin is very much like a dolphin, and they have really, really large heads. I'm pretty sure they've got more than 2 hemispheres in their brain, and they have big, big, big eyes that are, when they look at you, you're being watched. And you can see the whites of their eyes as well. But have you ever seen a dolphin's eyes? Magnify that a couple of times, and that's what you're looking at. And they have beautiful faces. They're kind of human looking, sort of, and dolphin mixed together. And they're very powerful, and they're very big. We're not talking human size. We're talking they're way bigger than humans, way bigger.
Wow.
And they live in the water. And they can come up on land, but they mostly live in the water. They hold their breath. They breathe air just like we do. Okay. But they can go underwater, massive lungs and everything like that.
Just a word of warning. I am a fisherman. Don't tell me there's a planet of fish people.
I don't know. You might be heavily challenged there. Okay. Very heavily challenged. Oh, wow. Yeah.
And
they're also psychic. Yes. Yeah.
And if they're
Very,
listening,
very
don't come
cool.
after me, okay?
Okay. All right. So, but that's basically the main. And I have seen one, when I was talking to Preston, I didn't know what y'all called them. I just called it a lizard person. And he said, no, that's a reptilian. I was like, okay, I've seen one reptilian in my lifetime. And he was on Earth. I was in the Everglades. I used to dig up Indian burial mounds out in the Glades. And I had camped out for 2 days doing it, and that time. And I was packing down my gear. I was getting ready to go home. And I felt something behind me, and it was ominous. Okay, and I turned around and looked to my right, and it was standing 20 feet away from me. And all he had on his mind was lunch. And I was like, nope. And I ran. I had dropped everything. I just hauled butt. And I went straight to my canoe, which was on the other side of a waterway on another mound. I left it there. And there's sawgrass out there and everything. I swam right through it. I didn't care. Grabbed my canoe and kept going. I didn't even get out of the water and get in the canoe. I just pushed it with me because I knew I needed it. And I never went. I did not go back for a whole month. I'm not kidding. I was terrified to go back. And I've lived a long life since then, okay? And I've had a lot of experiences, so I have a few opinions about them. And the most important one is I think they're from Earth. I think they were here during the time of the dinosaur, and they survived everything. They are from here. That's what I think. And
some researchers actually have come to the same conclusion, and other experiencers have told me that as well. So
yeah.
Yes.
So, but that's the top of the crop.
Now, Preston, you probably have heard this as well. I've heard that the mantids are a group of alien races, of an alien race, and the majority of those are scientists and doctors. What do you know about that? Is that fairly accurate?
Yeah, I mean, there are people I've talked to who have encountered them have said they're incredibly intelligent, ooze intelligence, and often have been told that they are the watchers. It was funny when Dolly said that. I'm like, yep, I've heard that before. And they can range in height from 6 feet, 7 feet, 9 feet. I've got a couple of outlying cases where they're 15 feet tall. I mean, I talked to a Navy medic, very good witness, a trained observer, who had a very long, involved, friendly encounter with them. And they gave him all kinds of information. He said they're very intelligent, very scientific, and they watch very closely over everything. And I'm like, are you sure 15 feet tall? And he's like, listen, I'm 6 feet tall. They're well over twice my height. I put his account in one of my books, and I was contacted later by a teacher from O'Fallon, Illinois, who says, I'm so glad you wrote that because that's what I saw. So yeah, that is often what I hear, that they're very, very, very intelligent.
Yes. Now, let's go to a phenomenon. Well, I don't know if you want to call it a phenomenon or not. A crypto creature, Bigfoot. There has been speculation, actually, that Bigfoot is not from this planet, but has been dropped off from a extraterrestrial civilization. What do y'all know about that, if anything?
Yeah, well, I think that's kind of a trick question because, in a sense, I think all of us have been dropped off here. I'm not so sure we originated here. There's so many human-looking ETs out there. It's clear that there are some serious questions about human origins. But as far as the whole Bigfoot UFO connection, I got dragged into Bigfoot kicking and screaming. I didn't want to look into it. I was afraid it might be real. And sure enough, it was. And so I ended up becoming a Bigfoot researcher, wrote about it. I wrote a whole book about Bigfoot because I had talked to a gentleman, a radiologist, who had a UFO encounter, followed the next night. Or no, wait, let me think for a second. Yeah, UFO landed in his backyard here in Southern California on the outskirts of the Los Angeles National Forest. And the next night had a Bigfoot encounter. And then had a poltergeist outbreak. So it seemed as if all of these were related. And that was my first sort of UFO Bigfoot encounter, but it wasn't the last. I ended up looking into it. And yeah, there are a good 50 cases, maybe up to 100 if you really dug deep, in which people have seen Bigfoot at the same time as a UFO. In a few cases, coming out of one or going in. That's quite rare, but it does happen. So there's absolutely a connection. I will say that most people who see Bigfoot aren't going to have a UFO connection and vice versa. If you're taking on board a UFO, I doubt there's going to be a Bigfoot on board there. But there are these few cases. I mean, there was a case in Colorado where a guy came upon a landed UFO near his home. There were human-like beings, grays, and they were sort of ordering around a Sasquatch. So I don't know exactly what's going on here. It's clear Sasquatch, Bigfoot, call it what you will, has been around for many hundreds of years.
Wookiees.
Okay. So, I mean, the reports stretch way back. They're in every culture, all over our planet. I think they probably are intelligent, some perhaps more than others. There's definitely a psychic aspect to Sasquatch as well. Many people who've encountered them say they're telepathic. They're sentient, as we would think of it. So I think they're just another intelligent race on this planet, probably are being contacted by ETs, and may have, in fact, come from elsewhere, like perhaps we have.
Yes. Now, I just mentioned Wookiees. It makes me wonder, actually, I've wondered this for a while. As we look at Bigfoot and your knowledge of Sasquatch, of Bigfoot, are they similar to the fictional Wookiee like Chewbacca in Star Wars?
Yeah. I would say that they have a lot of variation. I mean, here in California, we have more Bigfoot reports than I think any other state, but they're generally very tall. And whereas if you go to across the U.S., really down to South America, they're really short. Australia has yowies, much shorter, but there's the skunk ape of Florida. I mean, there's wide variation. Some of them are described much more like we would think of Neanderthals, a wild man, so to speak. So there's the same variation, I think, that we have among humans that they have among these Sasquatch and Bigfoot, and Yeti for that matter.
Yes. Now, Dolly, you mentioned once before that these beings have a psychic ability to them, and we end up with a psychic ability ourselves at some point. But I remember a story, a gentleman I used to have on this show. He is deceased now. His name was Bob Mitchell out of Canada. He had relayed to me a story from a contactee of the way they got this individual was they had projected into this person's head that their ship was a carnival. It had the lights, it had the music, it had the sounds,
Yeah.
and it just lured them to their ship. What do you know about this?
Well, I didn't have a carnival. I had a giant umbrella because I had just seen Mary Poppins.
Mary
I was
Poppins.
only almost 6. Yeah, way back when I was only going on, between 5 and 6, and a long time ago. And I'm 64 now, just so you know. And I was out in the front yard laying down looking up at the sky and under a tree, and all of a sudden I start seeing this giant umbrella coming down. It was rotating. I was like, oh wow, and I'm thinking Mary Poppins, and then I hear music like from Mary Poppins, and I'm like, totally cool. I was totally fixated on it. I was afraid of nothing in that moment. It was just very, very cool. And the next thing I know, I was on board. I think they shoot you a screen memory to hold you calm until you come upon them, so that you're not stinking, dinking terrified of them by the time they greet you. Okay. And I think that's what that's all about. They can throw a screen memory into show it to you a certain way as they're approaching you, so that you're not turning and running like crazy.
Yeah. I've heard the carnival before from a lady here not too long ago. This was at the Laughlin conference, actually, Dolly, where we went together. One of the ladies told me that. But yeah, I've heard it all. Debbie Jordan Cobble of Bud Hopkins fame, Intruders, she thought it was a 7-Eleven. Turned out not to be. Another guy was driving through the Nevada desert, I think it was, and came upon a hospital. It wasn't a hospital, but he had just burned his hand real bad with a radiator, and came upon this structure. But I've heard it all, and screen memories, cowboys, and especially with kids, little kids, they'll come in at clowns, teddy bears, superheroes, Barbie dolls. I mean, you name it, I've heard it. They will dress up in a way or give you that impression to reduce the fear factor, I think.
I wish they would do that with me and give me the Starship Enterprise and maybe a bunch of green women scantily clad like Captain Kirk would have,
Okay.
Hey. Yeah.
If you greet a Klingon, that would be me.
Hey. Yeah. Hey,
I love Star Trek.
I'd be okay with Klingon women too. Anything.
Yeah. There you go.
Anyway, my wife better not be listening.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Well, actually, now, Preston, I believe you've been busy. We've been waiting for a number of years. I mean, every single one of us that's been involved with ufology, the paranormal, we have been waiting for something called disclosure. And in 2020, it seemed like we were going to get it. And then it was brushed, swept underneath the rug for a few years because of COVID-19. But then just recently, this week actually, they held a committee, conversations, and I know you have been busy being interviewed by mainstream media, right?
That's right. Yeah, it was actually on NBC News.
What's going through your mind right now? Are we truly getting disclosure that we've been waiting for a number of years?
No, we're not. It's just a smoke show. It's unfortunately, I mean, it is movement. I mean, it's really nice to hear them use the word UFO and actually say extraterrestrial. But I listened very carefully to that whole congressional hearing, and I was disturbed to hear them say, we've never heard of Malmstrom, the UFO Malmstrom incident, where, they shut down our missiles. Really? You haven't heard that? That's so famous. Everyone in the UFO field knows this incident. 1967. I mean, it's hugely famous. They said, we've never shot at a UFO. I'm like, really? So I can think of a dozen incidents right off the bat. A very famous one in 1942, the Battle of L.A. We shot 1,400 rounds. There's documents verifying this. It's on the front page of the L.A. Times. They don't know about this? Really? And it just went on and on. No, we have no wreckage. I'm like, well, okay, what about Roswell? What about many other cases? Aztec, Kecksburg, Paradise Valley. I don't think we're going to get the disclosure we're looking for. I think they're just trying to control the narrative And they're saying, well, this is all about truth and transparency. I'm like, well, then stop lying.
Yeah. They're playing a game with us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, as soon as I heard about this, I was thinking to myself, my God, I wish Stanton Friedman was still alive. I wished Art Bell was still alive. Because for years they had discussed disclosure. They were waiting for it, just like we are. And, but just like you said, you know, we were all excited for this. But it seemed as though they're not taking it seriously, or they're wanting us to believe that the majority of these things are just, I guess, kites or drones.
Yeah.
As they were saying for the
Actually, they
triangle.
used the word. Actually, they went straight to national security threat, and they started talking like that, and they talked about the Space Force, and they talked about committees that they needed to start building and funding because in their internal investigations coming forward, they're worried about being attacked. That's what they said.
Yeah. Well, it's a threat, all right. A threat to their power structure. A
Yes.
threat
Yes.
to their having control over us. That's the threat. UFOs aren't a threat. They've been around for millennia. Are you kidding me?
Exactly,
Think
because
this through.
here's the thing. It's with corporations, it's with the government. Once they have power, they don't want to relinquish that power. Once they have
Correct.
power over us, they want to strangle us with more force. They don't want to ever relinquish any of that.
Of course, you're correct.
That is
They
the
have a
only
huge
threat.
agenda. Yeah.
It's the threat to them. It's good news for us. It's good news for humanity.
Yeah. Now, Dolly, as you've experienced these experiences as a contactee, have you ever flown a starship?
A craft, yes, I have.
What is that like? Because I think there's a lot of us who have fantasized about being on board a starship, sitting in a captain's chair, or just gazing out the windshield or a window as we're exploring space. What is that like?
Well, let me give you some background. The craft is a living entity. You have a spirit, consciousness that indwells your body, and you use your physical body like a car to be here. Every craft has an interdimensional, it's a fifth-dimensional, non-corporeal being who indwells the craft, and it's biological somewhat, and it becomes its body. It's psychic, and the ship is alive. It's thinking. Their technology is so advanced that they need an advanced being to run the craft. They also have a pilot, and the pilot has to be psychic because the pilot joins in consciousness with the craft to fly the ship. It is thrilling when it happens. It takes a lot of time. It took me 4 years to learn to fly. I had a lot of training time for it before I was allowed to go out and fly. It is the single most fun thing I ever did in my entire life, and it is the only fun thing I do. I mean, nothing can top it. Nothing. It is exhilarating. It's happiness. It's joy. It's very, very, very cool. So
Yeah.
I don't know how to
It's not
explain it
unique.
away.
I've talked with
Yes.
other contactees who've had this happen. That's often what they will do. They will, if you're not freaking out and, fighting them, they will first, counsel you, give you a little tour of the craft, take you up to what we would call the control room. According to Dolly, they don't actually call it that. They call it the place of movement, which I thought was really cool and kind of poetic. But they will sit you in the chair. And yeah, the craft are alive. Many people have told me this. Like, I felt this was a living being. This was another area where Dolly was able to confirm and, flesh out what I had already kind of figured out. But yeah, these craft are themselves embodied by an intelligence.
Yes. I remember during one of my times that I was taken, I guess, or contacted, that I had literally floated through the wall. I literally went through a wall with these beings.
Yep.
I don't know how they do that, but they have a way to manipulate what we know as physics. What we think of
Like-
as physics that cannot be manipulated, they do it.
Yes. They become interdimensional. They have the ability to do that. Yes. They can take you through anything. You live in a universe that's a construct of physicality. Everything in our universe is physical. And we exist in the third dimension here. There are 12 total. Um, each level or dimension, as you go up, it's because your consciousness has reached the ability to be smart enough to be in that dimension. It's it's the way it works. Talata, my ship, is an interdimensional being, fifth dimensional being, and it is very, very cool. We all exist together in the same place. In your physical space where you're sitting right now are 12 dimensions in with you, and any being that's past the one you're in can see you. The only reason you can is you're not using your innate psychic abilities. You've been denied them most of your life. Human beings have had a long history of being taken away from them. And that's really sad for the ET, because they want us to wake up to the fact that we are psychic. We have the ability they do. And they need you to get off the slave train and quit listening to masters who want nothing more from you than your back work and your money, period. They want you to serve them, nobody else.
Well, I would also
about that.
I would also add that, while matter seems solid, it really isn't. And this has been proven by quantum physics.
You're just gravity heavy. That's all.
It's mostly energy. It's very much energetic.
Yeah.
And there are cases here on Earth of mediums and yogis and psychics who have moved through walls. And I think the ETs have a way of rendering solid objects permeable because they're able to control the state of matter to a point.
Technology, yes.
Yes.
I think we're probably going to get that technology at some point ourselves.
Let's hope. Yeah, I've had the opportunity to speak with Professor Michio Kaku and Brian Greene in the past, and they both agree we are not physical beings, that we are living holographic illusions, that our consciousness is somewhere else, but the world around us, everything surrounding us, we ourselves, we don't exist.
They haven't come to the total picture yet. All of us, your consciousness is who you are. You are a being, a real being that's indwelling the body you're in from source. All of us are in source together. In this universe, we are part of the all mind of this universe. And we project out from source astrally to indwell our bodies. Our bodies are light. It's just very densely compacted together in this dimension. What you see here is heavy, gravity-heavy cells that are so close together that you can't see the light in between them. But you are a light being. And your consciousness, your soul, if you want to call it that, is who you really are. You have a physical brain. It's like being programming a computer. You have a computer. It's a mainframe. It's physical. Our body is like a computer mainframe. It's biological, though. It is physical, and it has ability to be programmed. When you become awake as a baby, you're born. Well, you're awake before that, actually. You start talking to yourself. You start programming the physical mind so that you work in conjunction with one another. You have a pineal gland in your brain that facilitates that connection to your astral mind, okay, who you really are. You never die. You just get rid of this body and move on and do it again. One of the reasons that you're not fully psychic right now is because you've been polluted, you've been threatened, you're afraid, you have negative forces all around you all the time, and you're lied to constantly. So you don't know your innate ability hasn't developed. It's there. You are psychic even now, but you just haven't developed them. And what ET's hoping is that y'all get this message and start working on it. And there are ways to open up and learn it. Absolutely learn how to use it so that you can see what's really going on.
And I actually heard an interview. It was on Preston's YouTube channel. He was speaking with you, Dolly. Now, I'm not going to give it away. I don't know if y'all want to discuss this or not, but Preston was talking about a book, an alien book. What is that, if y'all want to discuss this?
Sure. Everybody has a book. I believe this, okay? It's a book that is astral. Like you're an astral being, this is a book of light, and it's a book of knowledge. And you can use it to tap into anything you need to know. It can teach you. I was given mine on board craft because ETs are that advanced and they have access to those books. And if it goes where I go, they send it to me. If I got to go somewhere, it goes with me. I'm not allowed to have it here because it's just too, it won't stay here. In other words, it will refuse because there's too much negativity here. It's too dangerous to be laying around for everybody to look at. You have to have a certain amount of um, moral turpitude and understanding of what is positive and negative. There's a lot of training before you get your hands on this book. When you're OBE out of your body, you have a way to get to it in the Akashic library. They call it the Akashic library. It's the library of knowledge on the other side. And everybody has a book. You can go in there and actually ask for it, and they'll hand it to you, put it in your hands, and you can sit there and read it. You just can't bring it back here with you because it's not pure here. We're not advanced enough to be looking at it. But if you OBE, you're becoming advanced and you'll be given it to look at. And that's what I have.
Oh, interesting. So you're saying that these beings, these alien beings, what are they? The Greys or whatever species they are, they have
Right.
access to these books.
Yes, I do.
Interesting. I had
Yeah.
never considered that.
Turns up in a bunch of cases. Betty Andreasen. In fact, her very interesting case is Betty Hill, one of the first people who ever, reported an abduction, or rather, sorry, Dolly, I know you don't like that word, contact case, but saw a book. And it's funny, when I started researching this, and I asked Dolly, I'm like, Betty Andreasen had this, have you? And she's like, oh, yeah, I have. Cool. And I started telling her of the other cases. And I'm like, Betty Hill actually wrote these symbols down. And Dolly's ears pricked up. She's like, please send them to me. So I had a copy. And it was amazing because Dolly looked at them and did a little bit of a double back flip, I think, and said, I can actually read these. These are flight instructions for the craft. So apparently Betty Hill wrote these symbols down accurately because Dolly was able to decipher them. Very cool. And they're basically, instructions.
How to
on
do a right turn.
Yes.
Literally.
We have faced COVID since 2020, and now we are getting monkeypox here in the United States and across the entire world. It seems as though we are getting disease after disease after disease. It's almost as if this planet, as you've said before, it's almost as if this planet is working against us now. Is there anything?
I wouldn't call it that.
You wouldn't?
I think I would call it the powers that be are working against us. Yes.
Okay.
They're facilitating the movement of those diseases. They absolutely are.
But is there anything that these beings, these friends of yours, could do to help us?
It is well known to us through different literature and different types of religions and things that we are all autonomous beings and we were given free will. That means our karmic journey, our path of learning and education here, our path to wisdom means that we're on our own, that we cannot be touched. And us as a giant collective consciousness on this earth have to work together to ascend make our knowledge become wise, employ wisdom, as a matter of fact. Everything that we learn is for a reason. This is one of the reasons we're here in this physical realm, is to learn. When you're in source, you have all the knowledge of the universe, but you don't know how to work it or employ it. You're not wise from it. You just have it. It belongs to you. I'll give you an example. You got a little kid, you're rich, and you give him everything, and he turns out to be a dope. It's because he was given everything. He didn't learn to use it properly, his knowledge. Same thing with us. Same thing with every being in this universe. You have to work hard to do your own thing. You have to work hard to ascend your own abilities and intelligence. You have to become wise. And
the ETs are helping us to the extent that they can.
Right.
That karmic laws allow. It's funny because there are people who have been healed, but they're not healed of everything. And they ask the ETs, why didn't you heal me? I said, well, this is karmic. We can't heal you.
Yeah.
You have a lesson here.
Yeah.
And people have asked, well, why don't you just come down? We've got all these problems. And they said, we can't. It's up to you to solve your own problems. I have a case
Exactly.
in Sedona, Arizona,
Why?
where they said that flat out to the two witnesses.
We're the ones that allowed this to happen. If you really sit and think about it, every tragedy on this planet, everything that's gone wrong is by our own hands. We're all responsible for each other. They're trying to teach humanity through the contact that they're giving right now, in the words of wake up and learn to hear the truth, is that when you wake up, you realize something. If somebody needs something, you don't need everything on the planet to survive. You're not taking it with you anyway. But what somebody else needs, whatever you can give them to help them, teaches you something and helps them. And it teaches them something. It's called LOVE, love, concern, empathy. These are the things that you take with you, not hate, not dissemination, not, alienation. None of that goes with you when you leave here physically. It's left behind. And you want to bolster your intelligence. You want to raise yourself up so that you can go and do great things. Learn all that is learnable and then proceed. Go. I don't see anybody doing that here right now. Do you?
No. It's like we forgot how to love one another, or to just open up our arms and understand we are all brothers and sisters. We are all
Right.
together.
You are me and I am you, and we are one. All of us. There
are lots of good people here.
Yeah, there are. There are
I'm an
people who are waking
optimist.
up. Yeah, Preston is. He sees more of that than I've never seen anybody as awake as he is to see what's going on, really. And he's right. He's correct. People are waking up around here every day. People are hearing the message. Use your abilities. Learn to tell the truth. Quit depending on somebody else to solve your problems. Find out. Learn as much as you can. And step away from what somebody's telling you to do, and you must believe them no matter what. No, forget it. Teach yourself. Verify it for yourself. It works out better for you that way.
It does. That is something that Dr. Raymond Moody had once told me when I asked him, what's the purpose of life? Because we are here in an educational environment. So what was the purpose of everything? And his response was just what you said, to love.
Yep.
Love, period.
Yep. The wisest thing, it's wisdom employs all things, and love is at the top of the list.
And apparently
Period. If you know love, you know everything.
We somehow lose the ability to love, or we forget what it's like to purely love. And it actually makes no sense. It's almost like we grow in anger. We grow in hatred,
Right.
and our ability to love just sinks to the bottom. I've seen that so many times. It makes no sense.
Yeah. One of the great things about understanding physics and the universe and everything is you learn a few things that correlate to it. And one of them is that all energy ebbs and flows. It has a wave. Our ocean has waves. It has high pressure, low pressure. It moves back and forth like a pendulum. Okay. Everything has a swinging effect like a pendulum, the energy of it. And part of the pendulum at a certain apex is all positive, and that's, thesis. All knowledge, okay? And at the other end of the pendulum, on the other side, there's antithesis, lack of knowledge, okay? And our consciousness moves that pendulum back and forth. The energy of our actual existence and our minds as a whole on this planet push that pendulum around. And we are seriously swinging the wrong way. And everybody, that's why they want us to wake up, because we can pull it back. We can pull back our consciousness to be in the right frame of knowledge and understanding. There is negativity and there is positivity. There is good and there is evil. The idea here is to find the balance between the two and to choose to walk a line toward wisdom and knowledge and get off the pendulum and go through it and understand that you're capable of doing that. And
yes, Preston, Dolly, I am very concerned. I've been very concerned over the last several years about just the planet itself. Whether you are a believer in the overall climate change or not, we are parts of our nation, parts of the world is getting warmer. Ice is melting when it shouldn't be melting. And science is telling us within the next 50 years, the oceans could rise to a point where states such as Florida, California will be completely underwater, and that the new ocean views might even be here in Tennessee. Imagine that, or Georgia.
You've been lied to big time. You don't know what's going on at all.
Okay, tell us.
That's not true. None of it. This is just to get you to do things their way and to pay toward their agenda, what they want. Has nothing to do with reality. The reality is that our solar system has cycles. We were not from Earth originally. We all were all up on Mars. Our progenitors were. And there was a cataclysmic event in our solar system, and Mars was destroyed. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Our Earth was also a planet that had habituated life, the dinosaurs and probably the reptilians and a whole bunch of other types of reptile-like animals. And it got thrown into the catbird seat, into ours. Earth was gravity light at the time of this cataclysm, and now we're very gravity heavy. Our solar system is about to do it again. We're at the end of a long cycle, and it's coming at us. The reason our magnetosphere is down is because our poles are excursioning. That occurred because our sun changed its poles. We also have an electromagnetic current sheet coming at us, which is making things 10 times worse than they would have been. And so we're in the process now of waiting for the big CME that's going to get us, and it will be here probably in about 2.5 years. Once our sun reaches full maximum, which is about that time frame, we're going to experience a CME that's X-class, Earth-facing, and powered straight at us, and it will knock us right into the Stone Age. Period. We will be Flintstones, okay?
Yes.
The governments have known about this for 80 years. I grew up knowing about this, okay?
I've heard this from other contactees. You may have heard of the Carrington event. It's a very famous CME in 1859, which knocked out our emerging telegraph system.
Yes.
And so this is a common, there's science to back this up too. If you do your research, you will see that there is talk about this.
And that's terrible.
Yeah, well,
that is terrible in today's age, because we are highly technological. Everywhere you are in today's age, technology,
they did it
satellites.
to make you give them enough resources to go underground and save themselves. The powers that be on this planet are the 1% elite, and they plan on surviving it, and we're extra baggage. We are not welcome. Please understand me when I say this to you. The reason that you hear so much about so many things that don't correlate with reality is because of that. They're flipping around with you so that they can do what they've got to do to get underground and survive this thing, and we are not welcome. Do you understand why there's so much disease right now? Do you understand why they're taking over and destroying whole countries at a time? Why they're starving them out, giving them diseases, or outright genocide? Take your pick. Humans are not doing well on this planet because of this. And ET wants you to wake up to that fact. If you use your psychic abilities, you'll hear the truth. And you'll start preparing. It's time to prepare to survive this if you want to. If you don't want to, well, then you'll just shed this body and move on to the next existence, wherever. Okay? It's not that big a deal in their minds to them. But those that want to survive are welcome to survive. They have a plan for this, because not long after our magnetosphere finally settles down again and builds back up after that CME, they're coming. They're coming to get you, because 10 more years, 8 more years down the road is a micronova coming off our sun that will finish you off.
Wow.
And they don't want us to be here. So, it's a big deal.
It is.
Another thing I've heard from many contactees, the sky filling with UFOs, they're landing. People are being pulled on board in large numbers. A lot of missing people on this planet right now. People are being taken off. This is absolutely true. And if you look into it, there is good evidence for this.
What y'all are referring to actually sounds a lot like revelations of the Christian Bible. Is that related?
Well, there's been psychic people all along, and people who've come here trying to tell the truth, and then it gets bastardized a lot. I think they use religion to control you, actually. But a lot of what's in that book is accurate. And Revelations is pretty it's weirdly written, but, for the time, I guess they understood it better than we would. But, you have stuff coming at you. It's serious. This is the end. for this planet. This planet's going to go cold and dark. I want to tell you something. The pole's already melted. It's over with. All that fresh water hit the Atlantic, and we're now going to start getting cold. You mark my words that I said this to you, okay? Every winter from here on out, it's going to get colder and colder and colder because the engine is stopped. What heats the Earth is done, and it will start getting colder. And they're going to keep lying about it. But there's only 2.5 years to wait before that CME hits. So I figured their timeline is, they've worked it out generally pretty well. They're going to get what they want and say bye-bye to you. Survive. Learn to go off-grid. Learn to feed yourself. Learn how to grow a garden. Save food up for a year. I'm not kidding. If you want to be here, that's what you have to do.
Yes. Now, Preston and Dolly, I don't know if this has anything to do with this planet or not. Well, with the destruction of this planet, but I was reading a magazine, Scientific American or New Scientist, and they came out with an article that discusses that they have now found blobs, actual moving little blobs in the Earth. They don't know where these came from. They don't know what they're made of.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Do you?
Yeah, sure do. Those blobs are the inside of our planet that are bulging, and it's magma. We don't have a solidified cylindrical core of our Earth. It's not homogeneous. Okay, it's not perfectly round in there. It's not layered perfectly. They're giant bulges, and that's because when Mars got knocked out of the sky and its whole outside blown to smithereens, there was another planet as well. It got beat to asteroid size, and Earth, when it was hit, it bulged the inside of our planet. It moved the magma around, and it's all pocketed in there. And we have a wobble now because of it too, and we tilt slightly. That's what happened to this planet, and that's why we know with the every 12 years, the planet's going to do weird things and have problems because our sun, all stars go through cycles. All stars have cycles where it changes polarity. We're not the only ones changing polarity in our solar system. Every planet in our solar system is doing that as well right now. All the planets in our solar system are upheaving and having huge problems. Hell, they just got Neptune on video where they see one warm spot and the whole planet just suddenly went cold and dark. Okay? Its poles are in the process of changing. We're on the apex of that. It's happening very, very soon. It's not a joke. This is real. I'm going to give you a website you should go to and look at. This guy tells the truth. It's called Suspicious Observers. Do it ASAP because the government's getting ready to shut him down. They don't want him to be that popular. Okay? They're already trying to say that he's a nut and an idiot and blah, blah, blah. Trust me, he's very trustworthy. Look at it. Watch it. It will educate you on astronomy and all kinds of things and the truth about our solar system and this universe.
Okay. And that is Suspicious Observers.
Correct. On YouTube. Yep.
Okay.
He has written a book. He's a trained lawyer who is very smart, and he educated himself in astronomy and geophysics and everything. He's like a genius. Okay. And he has fights with NASA. He's calling NASA to the carpet right now. I mean, he's absolutely out there saying, you guys are liars and here's the truth and prove me wrong. And he's winning. Okay. That ought to tell you something alone. Okay, that's why they're getting ready to shut him down. So go get his website. I suggest you, if you're interested, buy his book. It will teach you everything you need to know.
Okay. Now, Preston, a lot of people are going to be asking this, so I'm going to ask this myself. After we've just listened to Dolly, everything that's happened, your book, etc., what was it that really got you, that made you believe everything? Have you seen some experiences from Dolly that maybe she was able to manifest UFOs to you or introduce you to these beings? What was it? Because like you said in your book, you've never had this before. You've never had a witness like Dolly before.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I do my research. I vet each witness. Dolly does have an enormous amount of evidence to support her story. Her story is more extensive and it has more proof, more evidence than the average person, for sure. And I will just start by saying, as I interviewed Dolly, it became very apparent to me that she was profoundly psychic and would often answer my questions before I could ask them. And displayed a wide variety of psychic abilities in front of me. She does have photographs, a lot of them. She decided to go public. She had been trying to get photographs for a while, and many UFO witnesses have a really hard time with this. Very few can produce photographic evidence that's at all, convincing or compelling. And she was in that category until she decided to go public and says, "Listen, I'm going to go public. I need some evidence." And they gave it to her. Her UFOs came down and posed, and she has many, many photographs, and not only photographs, moving film, daylight film as well, which I've seen. I first met Dolly face to face last year at the Laughlin UFO conference, and I was not surprised when UFOs showed up. She does have corroborating witnesses as well. So absolutely, she convinced me. I mean, it was clear to me from the beginning she was sincere. I knew she was telling the truth because there's all kinds of little details, like little red flags, I guess you might call them, which aren't perhaps super well known in the media, but which I hear all the time, such as, what the interior of a UFO looks like, the tables or the chairs or the furniture, the lighting, the windows, all of this. And it matched up perfectly. So, I mean, there was, like when she described ETs, I'm like, did you see, what their mouths look like, their teeth?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'd already gotten interviews from people who described them having very small, sharp, needle-like teeth. And Dolly confirmed that. That's another detail like this that is perhaps not super well known, but absolutely matched up. So, I mean, I went down the list, boom, 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 boom. And you can tell when someone's telling the truth, they get very emotional. And Dolly has, as I interview her and ask some very pointed questions, she has teared up. And I'm really sorry to have to do that with witnesses, but I like to get to the meat of all of it. And some of these experiences are very emotional for people. So, yeah, I mean, Dolly's the real deal. No doubt about that for me.
Okay. I know, like I said before, I mentioned other people I've spoken with. And one of the cases that really sticks out for me, and Preston, you've probably heard these as well, are the cases of young girls. We're talking girls 8, 9, 10 years of age, and they claim to be impregnated. And then after a certain point, these aliens come get them and they take the children. And then years later, whatever, they are introduced to their children. And that is something that has always bothered me, that these advanced intelligent beings.
You've got some disinformation going on here.
Okay.
I've never had a case involving a woman that young.
You haven't?
Right.
Never.
Okay.
No.
It's always been, I would say 19,
Older. Yeah.
20, 25, 30,
Absolutely.
40 even, but never that. Personally, I've never had a case like that.
Okay.
That's hugely disinformation. But yes, they do breed back and forth with us, but not without permission. They don't just take you and inseminate you against your will. Not at all. That's not how they operate. You have a female is given permission. I was asked actually when I was 17. That's about as young as I've ever heard anybody. I've seen, other contactees on board, and that's about as young as they'll go. And but I didn't have. I was like in the latter part of my 17. I was almost 18, and I agreed to have a baby. Okay. And yes, they can bring the baby somewhere between the 4th and the 5th month back with them, and they bring the baby to fruition. In other words, they bring it, to birth time. And most of those babies are highly hybridized, and they can't stay here. They have some differences between us with physical requirements for oxygen, environment, and things like that. And a highly hybridized baby has issues with that. I am a hybrid myself, and I'm more, I can take it here. I do have some problems because I'm allergic to everything here. I mean, there's some things that I can't even touch, okay, because I just can't handle it. But yes.
I've talked to a lot of people, who've had that experience, and I have to say, the vast majority are okay with it. There was one lady, Pat Brown, who did and does still feel a sense of violation. But ultimately, she came around. She says, I'm very glad I've had these experiences. They've given me great spiritual gifts. She's been taken to her quarters. Dolly describes, having quarters on the craft. That was another really cool aspect that she confirmed for me. Talked to a couple in Canada. They had their baby taken, and the mother is like, I know she's alive, and I'm fine with it. And I talked to a lady in Maine. She had this experience. They showed her her baby throughout its, from childhood onward, and got to meet it as an adult. And he said, I'm watching over you. You don't have to worry. Dolly's gotten to meet her.
Yeah, my oldest child, the first one. I got to name my children as well. I have 3 children. I have 2 males, 2 boys, and a girl. My girl is only 6 years old. I was still fertile at the age of 58. I didn't go through the change of life until I hit 60. And that's documented, by the way. Yeah, and I had a little girl, the last one, and I got to name everybody. And I did meet my first one. I named him Lloyd, and Lloyd came back. I was very badly injured, taking care of my brother once, and he came and healed my elbow. I broke it, and he healed it that night for me.
Are they are the children ever allowed to actually come to the earth and, say, attend family reunions?
A lot of them do. The ones that can handle being here, like I said, it's hard to breathe this air here. Okay, we've polluted it so bad, it's really bad for them to be here. And the more hybridized they are, the more closer you are to the ET side of it. It's almost impossible, and they just don't look 100%. But yeah, they hang out here. Some of them live here. They're incorporated into society. You live among them, actually.
Yes. Now, I do want to apologize to you, Dolly, and to you, Preston. I was not trying to give out misinformation. I was just relaying things I had heard.
Yeah. Well, see, one of my biggest things that I'm learning about this experience of coming out, is that there's a lot going on that is so confusing when I hear it, because it's like, this is not true. And I'm having to understand why this is going on. And it's a hard process, because there really is disinformation deliberate by the governments of this planet. They have an agenda, and they're getting ready to tell you that ETs are bad. This frightens me a great deal. And it's another reason I want to push for you to use your psychic abilities, because you'll hear the truth of it. You'll stop believing the trash and go straight to what's real and what's not. And it's a huge boat to be walking around looking at, and it's hard. And I'm not surprised that stuff that, like that. Don't worry about it. I don't take offense at all.
I do want to say there's a lot of disinformation out there. Preston, you know that. Dolly, you know it. I've had on individuals on my shows before who I've always thought to myself, they're telling bullshit. Excuse my language. That they are telling us stories.
I'll tell you, that's my favorite word to say about it. Okay.
There are real contactees. There are real experiencers from all sides, ghosts, demonic encounters, aliens. And those are the people I really want to speak with. But what really irks me are those people who are in this just for, I guess, their idea of fame and fortune. And there are people out there to do that. And then there are people out there whose sole purpose is to put out disinformation, to smear the whole field.
Right.
Don't you agree, Preston?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's quite disturbing. My number one priority when I'm contacted by a contactee is to help them. And I would say my second goal is to educate people. But I'm certainly not in it for the money. And I think people who think, I have a number of books out, quite a few, and I am not rich because of them. I work full time. Well, until very recently. So this has been an enormous amount of work on my part without financial rewards, because it's not about the money. It's not about fame. It's about helping people.
That's one thing I do know from some of my friends, such as Lloyd Auerbach, who has written numerous books, right? That writing books in the paranormal field, you're not going to get rich. You're doing it because you want to put out this information, because it is things that actually happen to you. You want to relay information to people, but you also have the fraudsters. Like I said, I was going to have on the late Bob Mitchell. Preston, have you ever heard of Bob Mitchell before?
The name does ring a bell. I'd have to look him up, but you mentioned him earlier. Yeah,
he was a lot like you. He would reach out to individuals, interview them, put their stories into books. He was also a member of MUFON in Canada, and he had been, I guess, an individual reached out to him, claimed he was John Titor, and so.
You mean from another life?
No, now he was John Titor, the time traveler. He claimed that he was the guy from another dimension or whatever, and yeah, and it turned out all bullshit.
Okay, thank you.
he made Bob believe this. He made Jason Quitt believe it. They wrote a book. They toured with him. They appeared on my show and other shows. That guy was a liar.
Yeah, Preston asked me about him. He showed me pictures of him talking, and stuff. And there was another one, an alien one too, and that's BS too. That's not real. And he would like try to trip me up and show me stuff that he knew for a fact was BS. And he put me through my paces. Just constantly testing me out. And I agree with you. That was BS. I know what you're talking about now.
Am I the only one that says bullshit on there?
I don't know, but it's when Preston's talking to me, I'm not kidding you. This is God's truth. Every time I want to say no, I use that word. He tries to tell me, don't use it in public. Don't use it in public. I was like, so I'm thanking you very much. Thank you. You've just met a kindred soul, okay? That's how I feel about it. It's BS. Pure and simple, okay? Maybe it's a Southern thing. I don't know. So, I don't know.
It's just so frustrating, man. I'm telling you, it's so frustrating, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. That's the other word I use. I'm frustrated.
I'm frustrated.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh
my gosh.
Yeah, I know. I always like laughing on these shows. You can't always laugh because we get into serious topics.
I want to tell you a secret about ETs, just so you know. They got the weirdest sense of humor in the universe.
That's where I get mine from.
Especially the Greys. They laugh all the damn time. I mean, they got jokes for everything. I'm not kidding you. They heal with that. I'm not kidding you. They can make you better in 5 minutes by telling you jokes.
Hey, Dolly.
And yes.
Tell us a gray alien joke. Something that they've told you. Can you?
Oh. Okay, it's a human joke that they find hysterical. Okay, you'll understand it when I tell it to you, okay? Oh, wait. Maybe that one's a little raw. Wait a minute. Oh, my God. Okay, here's one. They think this one's hysterical, okay? There's God's walking around, and a scientist comes up to him, and he says, hey, God, guess what? And God says, what? He says, I can do what you can do. I can create life. And God's like, really? And the scientist saying, yep. And he says, I would like to challenge you to see who could make the best new life there is. And God's staring at him, and he's thinking, okay, all right, give it your best shot. Let's go. So they both start working, and God looks over him, and he says, oh, wait a minute. The scientist says, what? He says, get your own dirt. You can't use my dirt. You have to make your own. That was the point.
Yeah, I got that.
Okay. That was the cleanest one.
Thank you for using the cleanest one. I'm sure Preston appreciates that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know who's listening, and I do know somebody who's listening with a little girl, and I don't want to.
Yes.
I don't want to use that.
Oh, if that's the case, I do apologize for using my foul language.
Yeah, well, if Mommy and Daddy turn the radio on, there's some things you have to allow. So.
Yeah.
Preston, probably heard it already anyway.
If so, I apologize. Preston, have you ever been contacted or abducted?
Yes.
You have?
Yeah. Well, I think so. I had nothing growing up, tiny little clues, but nothing I could really pinpoint. But after I started researching, started having sightings. I had one come right up to my car in 1992, an orb. And that is all I really remember. I'm pretty darn sure I had missing time. And that was in 1992, and I had a wave of sightings that year. A UFO come up to me and tell me that the witness I was interviewing, I mean, it told me telepathically that the witness I am interviewing is telling the truth. You need to believe her. She's for real. If you don't believe, watch or her ETs. This is what it told me telepathically. Knocked my socks off and started doing a little display for me. I've had a number of very close-up sightings, and I'm starting to wake up more and more to it. I'm having what I would call ET dreams, which are very lucid and very realistic. I'm not at the level where Dolly is, or even a lot of the people I've interviewed, but I am absolutely 100% convinced they know about me because, well, that's how I met Dolly, actually. The ETs told her, here's the person we want you to talk to, and his name is Preston.
You are famous all over the place, aren't you?
I am up in space, apparently.
Well,
Yeah, they used his last name too, Preston
really?
Dennett. Yep, told me where to go find him. I had never heard of him before. I was getting frustrated because I was trying to find somebody who would, I could talk to that wouldn't bastardize everything I said, and write it, comprehensively. In other words, be a real researcher. Yes, accurately. Yes, and so I was giving up, and Delano finally said, check this guy out. His name is Preston Dennett. You'll find him on YouTube. And so I went on YouTube and I put his name in the search bar, and boop, there he was. And I found probably the very first video he ever put out. It was about healing, as a matter of fact. And I watched it. I was like, oh my God, this is it, And found his email and emailed him, and it went from there. This was about it'll be 6 years this August that happened.
Wow. And have you ever introduced your friends to Preston? Is that something that could happen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's met Preston in my life, yes.
The aliens have met Preston.
Okay. This is a complicated situation. They know who he is, yes. And he is a contactee. He's just not completely aware of it yet. And it's my personal opinion that I think that this is keeping him from wanting to leave, because I think the minute he realizes he is a real contactee and remembers everything, he'd be ready to go right now. And I don't think they want him to do that. I think they want him to do what he's doing.
Fine. I'll stay.
He wants to take a ride. I mean, what's wrong with that?
Because he's an eloquent writer and he's very intelligent and he's putting the truth out there. He had a conversation with me the other day, and he brought this up, and I know this to be true. I don't know too many researchers who write like he does, who put out the information he has or have the ability of dead total recall like he has. And he's very valuable and to them, and to everybody here. I mean, it's like a little gem and walking and talking on this planet. He's great. And I don't think they want him to walk away from it yet. I think that he came here for a reason, and this is it.
Yes.
And my intention that when I'm able to, do so, he's leaving. I'm taking him. He's out of here. He's going with me. And I'll show him the full month, the full Monty, I guess, if you want to put it that way. Okay?
I'm ready.
You're ready to see the full Monty. Is that it?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I had to do that. You wanted a joke. This is how ET talk, okay?
Oh, Preston, Dolly, I've definitely appreciated this evening. It's been a lot of laughter, which I always appreciate. Some very serious topics as well. Before we go, is there anything that either one of you would like to share with the audience? Your websites, anything happening in your lives, anything at all?
I'll start. I do have a website, which I mentioned, PrestonDennett.weebly.com, a YouTube channel. I'm on other social media. My books are available on Amazon. But the message I would leave is that we all need to just have fun, live our lives, let go of fear, garden, collect food and water in case, and just reach out to each other and live in love and compassion, and we'll be just fine.
Absolutely. And I would mirror that, and I would also add that And if I have a YouTube channel, it's my name, Dolly Safran. If you keyword it, it'll pop up. And I have films of different craft. The two at the very bottom of it are ET drones. Just remember that everything that I tell you, I don't want you to take what I say for rote. In other words, don't believe me. Research it for yourself. Take the advice of discovery, self-discovery. Learn that you are psychic. There's a website you can go to in the Play Store from your phone, and it's called Psychic Trainer. And download that onto your phone. It's for Android as well as iPhone and PC, and start playing with it. Meditate every day. Learn to train your abilities to yourself. Learn to look at what's critically going on around you. Seek the truth. And that's all I ask. And I do this in absolute love. I hope you all can attain all this.
Certainly. We certainly do, and hopefully everyone else does as well. And for all of our extraterrestrial friends who are listening, we love you. Come down. Pay us a visit. I would like to see, I guess, the Starship Enterprise, some green women, whatever,
Okay.
But that's me. Anyway, I definitely appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun. Been very interesting and intriguing, folks. Anytime y'all want to come back on, you're definitely welcomed.
Thank you.
Yeah,
appreciate
thanks very
that.
much. It was awesome.
Yes. Well, have a good night.
You too.
Thanks.
Thank
You
you.
too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, was Preston Dennett and Dolly Safran. This is the live show, and I began this program jumping all over. I was all over the place. I was jumping up and down. I was like a caffeinated jumping Mexican bean or something. Yeah, for sure. And then I listened to some music, and I started chatting with my friends at paranormalforum.net, and I started to calm down quite a bit. I hope you enjoyed this evening. I've definitely enjoyed it. There's a lot of questions that we have about who these beings are, where they are coming from, what their intentions are. But it seems as though they have no ill intent toward us. And like I said, I was taken as a child. Were you? Were you contacted as a child? Were you contacted by these beings as an adult? And what do you think, folks? What do you think? There's a lot of things that we discussed this evening. A lot of things to think about, right? But until the next time we come back together again, I hope you all have a good night, and we will come back together again soon. Adios.